right, we're here. We're here, man. Such a blessing to have some of y'all here. These are people from around the world. We got people tuning in from Brazil, from South Africa, from here in Chicago, some other places in the world. We'll go around here shortly to make sure everyone gets their fair introductions. But first and foremost, this whole week has been about the kids, about young adults, about mental health, workforce readiness, entrepreneurship. I need y'all to download this app. If y'all are tuning in right now, if y'all don't know what we've been doing, you're trying to figure out what this is, there's an app. It's Meet App Go. Meet App Go. And the access code is MiCasa, all lowercase. For anyone that has not downloaded that, please download that. A reason I'm asking that, I'm going to ask for you to vote on some of these young adults that have worked so hard this year to try and bring what they're passionate about to life, right? And to earn value from that, right? Monetary value, but really that value of bringing out what's inside of your heart into the world, right? And they've worked so tirelessly and gone through so much during this pandemic, during this civil rights movement. And so I want y'all to go in and again, download the app. It's Meet App Go. The access code is MiCasa. You say, Mike, why MiCasa? I'm going to tell you more about that too. MiCasa Holiday is an amazing organization that does travel and music events around the world. My business partner, Julius, the Mad Thinker Space, has been helping us out in so many amazing ways, not just life, right, with me and dealing with that, but just helping us bring a production lens, events and connection and engagement. And how do you bring people together and commonalities, right, from different walks of life and go through things, right? Progress in life through common conversations. So MiCasa, again, is the access code. We'll get more into MiCasa Holiday. Y'all are in the middle of MiCasa Weekend Global Music Festival. We just had our Workforce Readiness and Music Festival yesterday with some amazing performances. Chuck, I see Chuck on, Charles Young. How was that yesterday, Chuck? Tell us a little bit about it.
The performances were awesome. We had everything from R&B vocalists to stand-up comedians. The energy was great. The vibe was awesome. Not to mention it was great food as well. I just want to throw that in there. But everything was great. Great energy. Good to see the young people out there having a good time.
Amazing. Amazing. Just so y'all know, Chuck is going to be one of our moderators today, helping us out. Chuck is former and still radio producer for Check the Scoreboard Radio, an amazing radio station here in Chicago, working with hip hop and sports, right? Putting that together. And now he also has an organization called One on One, where he really helps out these entertainers, right? Manages them, manages their performances, helps them get through the trials and tribulations of just being on the road, trying to get from gig to gig. So, Chuck, you want to tell a little bit more about yourself briefly, man?
Definitely. First and foremost, I'm from Chicago, born and raised. And I run a company called One of One Music Group, a production and management company. Two of our artists performed yesterday at the event, Peter Jericho and Fillmore Green. In addition to that, I have about 20 years of social service. I'm a senior manager for one of the state agencies here in Illinois. And pretty much I just like to see young people pointed in the right direction and doing positive things. So when Chris approached me about this opportunity, I jumped at it. Anything we can do to help the community and help the kids, I'm with it. So that's a short introduction of what I am and who I and what I do.
Awesome, man. Awesome. Now we have one of our young adults. Again, like I told y'all, our program has really been focused on taking young adults through that transition from knowing what it is you love and what you're passionate about, and then how do you turn that into value? Sometimes that value isn't always monetary, right? Sometimes it's going out and building relationships and helping people in your community. And so how do you start though with just taking it and knowing what it is, building a plan around that, and then being able to impact your community. And then in return, hopefully one day you're able to impact yourself financially and your family. And so we have Aurora, one of our amazing young adults from South Africa on. She's been working so diligently, just sticking through. You know, y'all, she lost her father this year, and it was a very tough time for her. And so she pushed through, though, right? She pushed through, and she's here today. And she had an amazing submission to our pitch competition, which go in the app and vote. Again, download the app, Meet App Go, access code MICASA, all lowercase. Vote for these young adults. Aurora, why don't you tell a little bit about yourself?
Hi everyone, I'm Nolan. I'm from South Africa. I'm 20 years old and I'm currently studying sports science. I'm going into the degree next year and it's been quite eventful. And the program has been really helpful, especially with self-growth as well, helping you find yourself in different ways and realizing how you can be as a person. Yeah.
Love it. Love it. Thank you so much, Aurora. And just thank you for all of your energy. She's always so bubbly and always has a positive spirit, you know. And even on the days she doesn't, she's like, Chris, smile on her face. I'm good. I'm good. And so I appreciate you always, bringing that positivity.
Thank you.
For sure, for sure. Let's go around. Let's introduce some folks. Dr. Borlabi, my good friend. Me and her kids play together. My son Noah hanging out with the little ones. Um, Man, tell us a little bit more about yourself.
Hi, good morning and evening or afternoon, depending on where we are, right? I'm so excited to be here. So I am, my official titles, I'm the Director of Performance and Mental Health for the Chicago Bulls. So I'm essentially the sports psychologist for the team. So I work with the players and the coaches and help them get their, simply get their mind straight, because life happens. We all know, we all experience it, and they still have a job to do. So that's what my primary focus is. On the side, as I say, my side hustle, as we like to call it, is I also have a nonprofit, and it's called Wisdom Nod, and it's about the youth, So definitely would love to be a part of this program as well, because my nonprofit is about educating inner city youth on careers in sports besides being an athlete, and so want to be able to empower them on all the things that they could do in and outside of sports. They don't have to just be the athlete; they could do so many other things, and so. They could find, as Chris says, their passion, whatever that passion is, and they can use that as a career. And so that's just another interest of mine. And I'm actually currently I'm in LA with the team, although we got our booties kicked.
Let's get this win.
By Dub, but we got the Lakers tonight. No, we got the Clippers tonight and the Lakers tomorrow night. So let's go.
That's what's up. Awesome. Let's go. We see another one of our young adults. Man, this guy too. He didn't start with the program with us this year, right? And you say in life, there's a lot of people I've met in my life that I've known for years. But then there's those people where you meet them and it's just 1 or 2 years of just interacting with them daily that you get to know them better than you know some of your own family, to be honest. And he's really shown me his character, his willingness to push through stuff, right? Push through life and continue to stay focused. We got Cleveland Clark on. Cleveland, tell the people a little bit about yourself, brother.
Hey, hold on. First, come on, Chris. You can't be making me tear up like that, man. How's everybody doing? Yeah, I'm Cleveland Clark. A little bit of everything, honestly. I try to use all my talents for the greater good. So pretty much just anything in entertainment, as far as acting, music, comedy, everything. And I mean, Chris, I don't even think it's been a year yet, right? It's probably been like since April, maybe.
Short amount of time, brother. Short.
Yeah. And really quick, I mean, I've only been knowing Chris, like I said, less than a year, and it's not even it's felt like I've known him, for quite a while. He's a great dude. Hope everybody really supports him and really understands his messaging and his purpose. You know what I mean? He's definitely inspired me just in the short amount of time that I've known him.
Appreciate that, brother. Appreciate that. Don't take my word on how good he is. Go download that app. Go download that app because my man Cleveland came in at the end like, let me give you this, show y'all this. And if y'all weren't there yesterday in person, we definitely showed some clips of it. But download the app to see his full video, just a little bit about his life, about his passion, what he's doing. Me Casa. I'm sorry, Me App Go, Meet App Go, and then the access code is Me Casa, all lowercase. Check out his video. There's 17 videos of young adults from Brazil, from South Africa, from here in Chicago, right? Again, they've been busting their butt. This is what they want to do with their life for a living, right? Then they're just getting started, some of them, and they have not earned money. So if you think you want to hire someone in this space, you reach out to these young adults, right? If you got a project, an internship, anything like that, please reach out to them. All right. Let's go next on the list. We got Jason. Jason, how are you, sir?
Oh, Mr. Chris, I'm doing fantastic. And yourself?
Man, I'm good, man. I'm really good. That was kind of I don't want to say the culmination, but it was, right, for this year yesterday, with our young adults really being able to Chicago be here in person and like really bring community together, man. So I'm grateful. Tell us a little bit more about you, though.
All right, thanks, Chris. So yes, I am a registered dietitian in South Africa. So, but with a special interest in sports nutrition. But being a dietitian, we work with medical conditions, so that's diabetes, high blood pressure, weight management, all those allergies, even cancer. But especially, I have a passion for sports nutrition as well. So, looking at each individual person, their needs, and how we can achieve it through, so let's say, scientific means with nutrition.
Awesome, man. Awesome, man. Thank you. Thank you again. And where are you joining us from?
Yes, I'm all the way here in South Africa. So I'm actually in Gauteng. So yes, so the rugby team that won the World Cup, South Africa, I'm gonna be the dietitian one day. So yes, that's the dream.
Simple plug. Love it, man. All right, awesome. We got Dwight White next up. My man, Dwight, tell us a little bit more about you. And let me give Dwight the little plug here. This man has been on it in the art scene, right? Because he's humble and he ain't gonna talk like this. He has been on it here in Chicago. At least that's the bare minimum. Chicago. There's some other places too that I'm sure he's traveled and plans on traveling to. But in terms of just bringing beauty, especially here to the west side of Chicago and Austin, and South Sides and on it. But tell us a little bit more about the bigger picture, Dwight White.
No, I appreciate the super warm and engaging welcome, Chris. Always much appreciated and always thankful for your support and what you're doing at Your Passion First. I am an artist, as Chris mentioned, primarily a painter, muralist, and also do creative consultancy with different brands in the Chicagoland area and beyond. It's been, a heck of a journey. It excites me to be able to uplift and inspire communities with creativity. I am a former athlete. Art was kind of my second love. May have been my first love without me knowing it, but I played football at Northwestern University, found art following an injury and exploring my mental health journey. And, that's where I am today. I found a home, found my heart through art, and now I just aim to inspire the world in any way I possibly can and uplift the youth that are within my community looking to do the same. So that's a little bit about me.
And listen, y'all, something he said that was really important there. He said, it may have been my second, it may have been my first. Listen, you take life as it comes, right? You're going to have negatives that come into your life. That's just going to happen. How do you take that, right? Like an alchemist, they say, how do you take all those things that are just sitting there and then turn them into something precious, And you all have that opportunity. And another thing I like what you said, my mental health journey, right, to life, right? He had this negative, this traumatic thing, and he found something that he loved, and he used that to journey himself into positivity. And so just keep that in mind, you know, you young adults and people out there. There's a lot of us trying to find, and follow our passion into the workforce. And when I say workforce, you want to be working and making money off of the thing that you love at the end of the day. So just keep all that in mind. Appreciate that, Dwight, for sure, that perspective. Yep. All right, we got Walter Nolan, my man. Ben, this team that's new here to Chicago. Not a lot of people know about it. My man coming in to bring in the fire, but not the fire. No pun intended. Let's put that. Let's clarify, right? Not the Chicago Fire. Who are you here representing, right?
Well played, Chris. Thanks for having me. My name is Walter Nolan Cohn. I'm the director of marketing and communications for Chicago's brand new professional soccer team. And as you said, and you know, we're not ashamed to say it. Not a lot of people know about us yet. We're a third division soccer team. We're here to complement the Fire and the Chicago Red Stars, for that matter. The women's professional team and the men's professional team, both two first division professional teams. We play at SeatGeek Stadium. We kicked off back in, February officially, but our first game was this past March. So it's been brand spanking new, and it's been an absolute pleasure coming home to my hometown of Chicago. I grew up in the north side of Chicago, born and raised. I went to Indiana University and studied sports marketing and management there, and spent 4 years down in Charleston working with the professional minor league team before getting my dream job back in Chicago. I've always wanted to work in Chicago in sports, and Chicago House Athletic Club is Chicago's brand new professional soccer team, and I'm thrilled, I'm honored, humbled to be working with this brand new team that focuses on community and giving soccer to the city of Chicago.
Love it, man. I love it. New team, y'all. Get out and support them. Chicago House. Where are y'all playing at, too?
We're at SeatGeek Stadium in Bridgeview, formerly Toyota Park, where the Fire used to play.
Okay. Awesome, man. Awesome. Get out there, support them. Hey, how many games y'all have left?
We have one left. So we have one left next Saturday, but I was saying to E before this is we're back in the spring. So yeah, one more November 20th. So hopefully no more snow. It snowed last night, which is kind of crazy. But yeah, one more game on the 20th, and then we take a little break and let winter do its thing, and then we'll be back in March.
Okay. Awesome, man. I might have to try and sneak out to that one next week for sure.
Love to see you.
That's what's up. All right. And certainly not least and not last right now, right? Because we have another group of people coming on at 11. My man Immaculate, a DJ for the Chosen Few, has just been doing so much work with them. And man, tell us a little. Oh, and just has been shooting some videos for the Chicago House and doing some editing and stuff for them, right? Tell us more.
Yeah. So, hello, everybody. My name is actually Eric Welton. I go by the name Immaculate. It's a nickname I was given when I was very young. Started DJing 30 years ago, which tells my age a little bit. So I do a lot of different things. When you're freelance in the music business, it's wise to have multiple trades, if for lack of a better way to put it. So I'm a DJ. I'm a music producer. I would say those things I identify as first and foremost, but I also do a lot of engineering. So I do final mixing for songs for artists. I have gotten into video editing and videography the last several years. So it's a lot of different forms of art that are all relevant to one another. Yeah, I do a lot of different things. I wear a lot of different hats. I also manage an independent record label for a very legendary DJ and producer from Chicago named Terry Hunter. So him and I are partners in a couple of different ventures. He's one of the members of the Chosen Few DJs, if you're familiar, here in Chicago. And as far as sports, since this is a sports panel, I mean, as a kid, I played baseball and football every year, 8 years old until sophomore year in high school, and that's when I discovered DJing. So, I didn't get as far as my man Dwight here, but similar thing where it wasn't due to an injury. It was just I was super passionate about sports when I was a kid, baseball and football. That's what I saw for myself. I grew up in a music family, but once I got to be, freshman, sophomore year in high school and really discovered house music and fell in love with that, it shifted. And once I discovered DJing, I quit cold turkey. I quit playing baseball and football after sophomore year and just been on the music wave ever since, So, you never know. As you said a couple, Chris, I think that were key. And, Dwight as well. That was one of them. And when you touched on alchemy, that was a jewel. So I wanted to revisit that real quick because mental alchemy is a real thing in terms of being able to change negative energy into positive energy and learning how to do that willfully. I'll share one last thing. I have a 24-year-old disabled daughter. I have a daughter that has severe cerebral palsy. That was a curveball that I was given at a young age. I was 22 years old. And so for 24 years, her mother and I have raised somebody that requires 24-hour care, and I've still been able to pursue my passion. And it has not been an easy road sometimes, but I had to discover how to do that. So, just throwing that out there, whatever comes your way, you can figure out how to manage and how to still pursue what you want to do and live your life while also taking care of other responsibilities.
That's what's up.
That's it.
Up. That's it. No, appreciate you, man. Appreciate you. And y'all, Eric's gonna be DJing during our right. What day you DJ on?
Tomorrow.
What time?
Yeah. So for Mikasa, I should add that real quick. So Julius Spates, Julius the Mad Thinker, Chris's partner, him and I pretty much grew up together. We've known each other since we were really young, like Little League baseball age, and we both are involved in the music business now and have always remained best friends for a long time. So he along with his sister, who I graduated high school with, they founded Mikasa Holiday. And I'm going to be doing a special DJ stream for them tomorrow, 6 to 9 p.m. Central Standard Time on my personal Twitch. If you guys don't know about Twitch is something that the pandemic caused us to discover. That's a beautiful thing. You can see pretty much all of your favorite DJs from whatever genre for free on Twitch. So mine is DJ EMMACULATE on Twitch. Tomorrow, 6 to 9 p.m. Central Standard Time.
Awesome. And download the app too, right? You can see the schedule of all of these other folks that are going on. It'll give you access to Julius's Twitch. Meet App Go. Mikasa, all lowercase. All right, that's the access code. So again, vote for these young adults too. They're busting their butt, you know what I mean? And they're going to continue to do it. But the more supporters that they have, the more people in there that they can see, watch their stuff, that make them feel good, even if they don't win. So get in there and vote. Someone is going to win, and we're going to announce the finalists Monday. So you have until Sunday to vote. Finalists will be announced Monday, and then Wednesday we will have the finals for the pitch competition, which you can all find, again, in the app where it will be streamed and all of that good stuff. So, man, I'm going to turn it over we got Chuck on, Cleveland, and Aurora, two of our young adults. And then my man Chuck here from Chicago. I'll let y'all turn it over to some questions.
Okay. Well, I would like to start off. I was talking with Chris about, how we wanted to approach this thing. And one of the things I truly believe as it pertains to sport as well as the arts is that those two entities are the biggest bridges that have brought more people together than, as far as race, as far as age, as far as sex. Sports and entertainment, music, art, those are the conduits amongst people. So it's good to see all of us together, different races, different backgrounds, different nationalities, all of that stuff coming together to build today. This is awesome. So I wanted to kick it off, a question to the panel. What role does work ethic and consistency play in being successful, not only in sports, but in life? Maybe we can get Dr. Wendy. Can you start us off with a response for that one? What role does work ethic and consistency play in being successful, not only in sports but in life?
I think one of those obviously it plays a huge part of it. I think especially in life. I think that if you can be consistent in you knowing who you are, your approach, the way that you present things, being consistent, and everybody knows this is what you bring all the time, that's going to help elevate your ability to continue to connect with folks and for folks to continue to ask you to be a part of different entities and different events that are going on because they know this is what you bring, this is who you are. And so being consistent, it gives you just that little bit of leverage, as opposed to someone that is kind of up and down because they're not sure what they bring or who they are or what they can give. And so I think it's really important just in life is if you're consistent. In sports, it's definitely the same. I'm going to say for my job, it's the foundation. If I'm not consistent in presenting to athletes of who I am, they're not going to talk to me because they always have somebody that wants something from them. They have somebody that wants them to do something. So if I can come at it just being me and being consistent with that helps open up the doors. It helps allows them to be comfortable and we have the conversations that we need to have so that way they can do the things that they need to do in life on the court and off the court. And so I think it's really important, but I think the foundation for that is the self-awareness piece. So learning who you are, and that's an ongoing process, right? You don't just all of a sudden become self-aware, right? You're always learning who you are. So I think as you continue to learn who you are, that's where you get that basis for being consistent. So I would definitely state that I would encourage all the young folks to get on that train of self-awareness, to learn who they are, what they want to do, how things affect them. And that's going to help them be consistent in their sport and also be consistent in life.
Yeah, I think that was beautifully, said. When I have to think about, work ethic and consistency, like everything Dr. Wendy was even saying just now, it makes me think of this whole, idea of trust, right? Like, how do you build trust within a team, within a community, amongst people, whether it's literally in person or these days in an online social environment, right? Like, if you consistently are showing that you're putting your craft first and highlighting what you do and showing how much you care about it, people do start to invest in you, and that's how you build trust. So that's something I would just add to it is that, trust is a huge factor, especially if you're doing work within a community or within a team. If people are going to put you out on the court or going to put you out on the field, they have to trust you. If people are going to put you out in front of the youth to speak, they have to trust you. So I would just definitely drive that home as well as the self-awareness piece, but also, knowing that at all times you're developing trust with people around you.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. I think that your work ethic on a field or on a team is the same in a classroom, is the same in being in the community. It is what young people say is your brand. And when you start to build your brand young, you should start to build your brand as someone that worked hard to see things through, to be the best that you can be at whatever endeavor that you are tackling at the moment, whether that's athletics, whether that's academics, whether that's fatherhood, whether that's being in the community. And I think the process of becoming great is the same process. If you want to be a great athlete, the work ethic is no different than being a great student, than being a great husband, than being a great father. And that's why I think, especially at our organization, the importance of sports. Because for me, after being a college athlete and a pro athlete, it actually isn't about sports. It's about life. And ultimately, with having so many Black and brown boys, and we have girls too, ultimately what we want to leave out there in society are better human beings with great work ethics, with great moral character, that are going to lead the community into the future.
Awesome.
Did anybody else want to chime in? I think Jason has.
Yes. Oh, guys, I think it's such a fantastic topic. I think working as a sports dietitian, where I work a lot with athletes, is that you got to look at work ethic and consistency. Is that really is what is going to help drive you forward? Because it's very interesting if you look at the research, is that if you're looking at keystone habits, it's going to be your exercise, so your sports, and then as well it's going to be your nutrition, but third of all, your sleep. So I think that just going forward, I normally find that my athletes that normally hit all three of those right with regard to good sleep, good nutrition, and then as well, then with regards to now the exercise, the work ethic and consistency day in, day out, or more what you're going to do more consistently plays out. And what I've really, really seen with my work is that it's going to be more it's more what you're going to do more consistently. So some of my clients might say, okay, Jason, what is going to be the absolute best shake that I can take? And at the exact time and the exact place, we can work at that. But it is more going to be about what can you actually do more consistently. And that is going to help you just with regards to making practical, setting up your environment and your routine. And that is normally what sets you up. And having that environment to set you up, and then as well is that is then going to help you with your work ethic that is ultimately going to drive you to your success. So it's just that's a big kind of trend that I've seen. If you set up your routine and environment and get those three cornerstone habits, it really makes that work ethic much easier to actually apply into what you're trying to achieve.
Yeah, I think that's a great point there, Jeff. And I think that for me specifically, we were talking about this. I was telling some of our players that I was going to be doing this today, and they asked about your passion first, and I kind of shared what I had learned from Chris. And when we talk about passion, I think passion and work ethic go hand in hand. And I think one thing that I was talking about this week is it's two things you can't necessarily teach. You can't necessarily teach passion. You can't necessarily teach work ethic. I think those are two things that you have to find. You have to realize. They're not necessarily skills that can be taught. They have to be realized. And I think that when you look at life, you look at organizations like Your Passion First, encouraging young men and women, but people of all ages to realize their passions and realize that, work ethic is something that you need in order to be successful in life. And then the other part of this is consistency. And I'm going to speak more on kind of like a brand development perspective, just from, a new up and coming brand. Is consistency is huge, especially in all facets of business, but specifically in sports is being there and being available for your fan base and for the city and where you call home. And I think that not only putting out consistent content, but consistently and authentically connecting with the community and those that support you in life and business. I think that's so important. And putting those two together is that's business in its essence, right?
Love it. And just so you know, I muted everyone because when everyone isn't muted, even if one person is unmuted, we'll get background noise. So just making sure that we keep that going. So just remember to unmute when you start talking. Aurora, you have any? You got a lot of questions you want to ask. Is there any one question that you want to ask any one particular person, at least to start?
I would like to ask everyone's view on gender equality and recognition in sports. Anyone can go first. I really don't mind.
So just to clarify, so you want to know just what their views are on gender equality and sports, right?
Yes.
Awesome.
Hey, Chris, if I can just chime in real quick, the audio guy in me just wants to share this. If there's a function, if you go into your cam mic settings and you go to the mic settings or audio settings, there's a box that you should check called echo cancellation. And that prevents some of that slapback noise that you hear. So when you're doing dialogue on StreamYard, I found you should always check that echo cancellation box, and it's going to make your audio sound better. So that's it.
Awesome. If you haven't done that already, feel free to go in and check that right now. It's right at the bottom of your screen. And then Aurora, let's direct that question at anyone who wants to take it.
Anyone? Dwight? Can you guys hear me?
Oh, you're muted, Dwight. Here, I think I can unmute you from here. There you go.
You guys hear me now?
Yep.
Okay. Sorry about that. Yeah, I couldn't figure out how to come off of mute. No, I think when it comes to, and just to repeat your question, I want to make sure I understand 100% correctly. We're speaking on gender equality in sports, correct?
Yes.
Okay, great. No, I think when it comes to gender equality in sports, it's a huge topic that I think as the sports community has been exploring for quite some time now, and it has a significant level of importance. My most recent thing that I've been paying attention to, mostly in the city of Chicago, even, right, is the Chicago Sky, right, winning a championship, and it was probably it was a huge highlight for the city of Chicago. It was a huge highlight for women's sports, but it also raised the question once again, the level of significance and the level of prestige that we're putting women's sports on, when the achievements are outstanding and incredible, right? And so when I think about sports and gender equality, I think I'll put it simply that there's work to be done, right, at high level of sports. I think growing up, when I was in sports, it felt fairly equal. I even played a lot of the sports I was playing as a kid. I had women on my team up until you get into high school and kind of separate those things. But I think sports does so much for the community. There's young women, there's young men that look up to athletes, and I think when we have a ceiling on things, when it comes to equal pay, or when it comes to I would even say fraternity rights. I mean, I think of track and field stars, even, right, who have had to put their careers on hold because they're wanting to spend time with families and things like that, and they're not having that same issue. So I think overall, when it comes to gender in sports, is that everyone should have an equal opportunity to excel in their sports, and I think today there's a lot of work to be done.
Awesome. Good stuff. Good stuff.
I was trying to think about, I don't know how to answer that without going on a whole nother, So I was really trying to think, how could I make this real concise? And I still don't think that I can, because it's so much. I live it, breathe it, feel it every day. It's so much. And so maybe I'll just say that what Dwight said, it's there's so much to do. It's not even close. It's not even 70-30. There's so much work to do when we're talking about gender in sports, gender equity in sports. And it's definitely at the professional level, but I think it starts more from young kids. I mean, this isn't something that our society just got to. We have been educated, cloned, whatever the terminology may think that this is okay, and it's not okay. And so again, I'm trying not to go into a whole nother level of answering this, but we're not there. We're not close. It's a process. I hope that we'll get there in my lifetime, but I don't think it's going to happen in my lifetime or even my kids' lifetime. And that's just being honest.
Well, when I was in school, I'm 60 years old, so Title IX was still relatively new, and you could see the huge differences and gaps between men's sports and women's sports. And I go back to my college campus frequently, and I see that the gap has closed, but of course it's not near being equal. Will it take some time, as the doctor said? Yes. Will it be in our lifetimes? Well, I hope it's in both of our lifetimes, doctor. And I think what, in particularly with what the women did last summer, with everything that was going on socially, the WNBA was the most powerful voice in our community, speaking to the inequities that were happening to our community. There was no other pro league anywhere in the world that spoke up like they did. And I think that really enhanced what happened this summer. I don't think that was just, well, first of all, the basketball was great this year. And being from Chicago, them winning the championship, that's great. because we're a basketball city. But I think that they really drew more fans because their passion and their consistency and their words and actions have matched up. And I think what's going to happen in the future is we're going to have more women standing strong, like those women did. And then we're going to have to really get men to be strong to stand up for women.
Out here giving that sermon. I didn't give him his fair introduction, y'all. This Eric Davis, founder, executive director, all the things for the base, and they're just an amazing pro. Baseball is my love, y'all. They're doing amazing things with young adults and kids. Baseball here in Chicago, man, just been on it. So thank you for joining us, Eric. I appreciate it. So y'all, I don't know if I didn't say this about my sports love. I've always loved baseball, and I played for the longest time. I played semi-pro, men's leagues, all that. And I stopped after my son was 3. And I was like, all right, I'm gonna hang it up, right? So I started playing softball. Tell me why they convinced me to start playing in the 40 and over league this year on Thursdays, man. But that's okay. I went out, got my new cleats. You know what I mean? I'm ready for it, y'all. I'm ready. But no, I've always loved baseball because what sports has done, and what I recommend to young adults, even when you're young, you want to go play pro or whatever, use that as your opportunity to discipline yourself, right? A lot of times in life, physically, we don't get to the things because we talk all about it, we think all about it, but we don't do all about it. Sports gives you a framework to stay on it, to do the thing, to have something to work towards, right? And so even if it's not playing a sport, maybe it's working out every morning, right? Maybe it's running. Maybe it's doing something physically with your body. When you get to add in a team, though, to do that and play a sport, man, use that as an opportunity to stay consistent, as they were saying earlier, with your life, right? Not to steer off of the gender equality, but use that opportunity. So, Eric, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Leverage that. We need to do more to bring women up on a pedestal, right? We need to do more of that, Eric. And I appreciate you saying that. Us men need to do more of holding women strong. And it's not a power trip. It's not an ego, right? It's not going into a relationship and saying, hey, I'm gonna hold you strong, so you gotta do what I tell you, right? No, it's, hey, what is it that you want in this relationship? And let's walk together.
And,
you know
and Chris,
let me help you get there. So
I'd like to say this too, Chris. Everyone here is involved in sports and the arts. I would look up a guy that many of you should know, and I hope you know, Curt Flood. To me, Curt Flood is the most important athlete of my lifetime and generation, because when we talk about equity and inequities, pro sports was slavery when I was a young man up until the 70s. And Curt Flood put himself, a lot like Colin Kaepernick, he fell on the sword to benefit everyone else in the future. You wouldn't see guys making the kind of money they do. They couldn't move from team to team. And this kind of voice has to amplify and speak for women. So if you get an opportunity, take the time to learn about Curt Flood, learn what he did for not baseball, but sports in general and free agency. It opened up the gates to make the financial part a little more equitable for those that are putting in the real work, the people that were the real show.
awesome. Chuck, how you feeling, man?
I'm good, brother. I'm ready for another question. We got a great panel. A lot of gems are being dropped right about now.
Yeah.
So I have another question for the panel. As it pertains to athletes, what does it mean to be coachable? And how does that apply to adult life? we'll start off with Dwight.
I like picking me first. No, it's a term. It was one of the early. Being coachable is one of the earliest terms used, believe it or not, in my household. But also out on the football field as a very, very young student athlete. I grew up in Texas. My family was a big football family. Father played collegiate football. Mother played collegiate volleyball. And so there was a standard set even within the household on what it looked like to be disciplined and what it looked like to be coachable. Coachable, basically what that means to me, I guess there could be several definitions of it, but it's to have the willingness to listen, to learn, and make changes that are needed in order for either you to find more success or, more importantly, when you're playing a team sport, your team to find more success. And so coachable is one of those attributes that an athlete can have, that a person can have, that's ultimately going to enhance their life significantly, because it means you're always willing to grow. You have to be willing to make, whether it's subtle changes or large changes in your life on your team in order to reach an end goal. So when someone is willing to mentor you and you're willing to listen, there's a huge opportunity ahead for you to be the best version of yourself. That is what it means to be coachable to me, as my father would have put it, I think.
I think being coachable is when you hear the word coach, you automatically think of sports, right? But you can think life coach and in general. But I think coachable is just being available and willing to learn. And I think that that's something that a lot of people, including myself, I think could do a lot better at. And just being willing to listen. That's a huge thing too. Is being coachable is being a good listener. And when people give you good advice, heed that advice, and not necessarily take and act on it every single time, but be cognizant of what people are offering you. Because if somebody's going to offer you advice, whether it be a coach in the sports field or a mentor in business, you have to be willing to listen and learn. And I think that you don't want to get that stigma of not being coachable or not being willing to listen, because that's a bad tag to carry. And I think that for me, who's still kind of young in my career, is I'm where I'm at today because I've had some really great coaches and mentors, and that's because my parents, when I was growing up, encouraged me is listen, be willing to have mentors and listen to what they say and take their advice and act on it. And I think that being coachable is so important, no matter what you do, whether it's professional sports or art or anything in life. And I think that that's such an important quality to have.
I'd like to chime in from the perspective of somebody that's in the music business, and my roots being in sports as a young person. I always reference my experience as a young athlete and go back to that discipline in my mind as it relates to me pursuing my own endeavors in the music business. And that also translates to, as a producer, you work with different artists, different vocalists, whether they be a singer or a hip hop artist that raps or whatever. That artist being coachable is really the equivalent of an athlete being coachable, because as Dwight said, it's your willingness to learn, your willingness to yourself, put your ego to the side, and allow somebody that is more knowledgeable about a particular craft or skill to teach you. And so I find myself in positions as a producer that could be working with a less experienced artist, and them allowing me to coach them through the process to achieve desired result, which is a great song. And then also I work with, as a DJ and as a producer, I work with guys that are more experienced than me that share jewels with me. And I have to allow myself to still, at 46 years old, be coachable and learn from people that have accomplished things that I haven't accomplished yet. So I think that never ends as far as you, to me, it's truly just humbling yourself, being aware of your ego and getting rid of it and allowing somebody that knows more than you do about a particular skill or craft or whatever it be to teach you. being teachable, and that applies, I think, to
Life.
any discipline in life. For mine, I'm relating it to the music business, but I think that translates to anything.
I think it's also and those are awesome points too.
Thank you.
I think it's about doing what's best for the greater good. And I watch ESPN and all these highlight shows that are all about me. I see young athletes doing things to promote them. And I think sometimes we forget how to do things for the greater good by being selfless and making yourself second for the greater good of the group. When I was a high school player in Chicago, I was an All-American basketball player and football player, and I loved baseball the most. And I went to school down in Texas, and I played for a school called the University of Houston, where I ended up being the captain of a group called Phi Slamma Jamma. And I averaged 33 points a game in high school. So my goal in college was to average 34 points a game. And my coach told me that you're going to be the point guard on this team. And I told him, I'm not a point guard. I'm definitely a shooting guard. He said, either you're going to be the point guard or you're going to be the bench guard. I need you to do what's going to be best for our team to win. And I probably wouldn't have had a problem with being a point guard for Phi Slamma Jamma, except many people across the country and TV analysts didn't know, but I knew we didn't have any plays. And usually as a point guard, every spot where you're going to get your shot, me thinking about me. But since we didn't have any plays, and since I played with guys like Hakeem Olajuwon and Clyde Drexler and Cadillac Anderson and Rob Williams, I knew once I passed the ball, it wasn't coming back. But playing with that group and accomplishing something that people still talk about today, was it hard seeing teams come in that every team that came in that we played against, I said, I could average 20 for this team. Every team we played against, but I was struggling to play on the team I was on. But as I tell my grandkids today, I wouldn't trade it. I'd make the same decision again if I were 17 years old.
Yeah, man, that's selfless, being selfless. And it's always great to, do something for you. But if you can't share it to the world, right? If you can't help someone with it, if you can't give it away to someone after you've done it and gotten it and cultivated it, then what good is it? So I appreciate that. I appreciate it. Cleveland Clark, my man. You want to jump in and ask a question?
It's already been pretty dope so far, right? I mean, I'm not really an athlete like that.
I might have played in high school a little bit, but after I got hurt, I realized, this ain't really for me, So much respect to anybody who can go out there and really, play it at that level. So, but really quick, because, sports calls for so much determination, focus, the hours you put in, I want to think like, let's say like all of that comes in and you finally go out there and you get that you get that big W, much like the Bulls did against the Mavericks a couple of days ago, stuff like that. How do you celebrate after a situation like that? Like celebrating as in like, just enjoying the moment without getting too far off track.
Well, since he used the Bulls, I feel like I gotta start it off. I'm gonna answer the question in the form of how I tell all the athletes that I work with, and that when you're celebrating, let's give yourself a time, whatever that time is. an egg timer, start timer on your clock, on your watch, but you just say, you know, for 30 minutes, I'm going to be happy, or for this night, whatever it is, that's what I'm celebrating. But you give yourself an end time to stop and to start looking for the next project, the next stone, the next victory, whatever that is that you're trying to work on. But I want you to feel the goodness of what that is, which is why I want to give you the time to embrace it, because I want you to remember what that feels like. But I also want you to have a time that you set that says, now that's over. Now I need to do the next thing, which the next thing may just be life. I mean, it may just be like, now it's over. Now I need to go pick up my daughter from school. I need to go grocery shopping. You know, it may just be real stuff coming in, but that's the thing. You got to think about what's that next thing and not get stuck in all of the good, because I don't want you to get stuck in all the bad either. You give yourself the time for that, and then you go, you know, think about the next thing. But I definitely feel like it's one of those, you should embrace it, but you need to give yourself a time limit to embrace it. Otherwise it lingers on and you start to have that after effect of, oh, I could do this again, but you did it yesterday. You got to do something new today. You got an A yesterday, but you still got to study for the next test in 2 weeks, right? Mm-hmm. It's still coming back up. So we celebrate the A, but you got to think about the next thing coming up.
Awesome. All right, y'all. I hate to do this part, but we do have to let one of our amazing guests depart for the day, because we have other folks that want to get in, and it's just a full hour. So I have to have one person volunteer that up. It could be anybody, whoever's the first. I know we all have busy days too. What I will say, that if you do have to jump out, you can still jump back in on Facebook or YouTube. You can comment in there. You can do all those good things. Yes, some people though, we're scheduled. Yeah, we gotta work it out, y'all. So is there anyone that can jump out right now so that I can let someone else in?
Well, you know, I don't mind, because of two things. I'm enjoying this. I do have an obligation in a couple hours, and I actually feel like I'm the least involved in actual sports at this point. These other panelists are actively involved in sports, you know. So I'll stay if anybody else needs to jump off. But if you need a volunteer to jump off, I don't mind. I'll still.
I actually do have to run, Chris. So this kind of works out well. So I appreciate you.
I'll stay.
Yeah, I've got brunch. I've got brunch with family today, so I've got to go run to that. But thank you guys. First of all, thank you guys so much for having me. This was a blast, and you know, I'm still fairly new to your passion first and what you're doing, Chris. But I just want to commend you. You know, you've done a lot of going around the room and commending everybody that's been on this panel. And you know, I just want to give you a huge shout out, Chris, because I think what you're doing for the young folks in our community is incredible. And you know, this is my first foray into working with your passion first. And big shout out to E and Immaculate. Thanks for making this connection. Just thank you guys. I really do appreciate it, and more to come, Chris. Let's stay in touch, and for everybody on here, I would love to stay in touch. If anybody wants to get in touch with me, my email is walter@chicagohouseac.com. I'm going to pop that in the comments as well. So if anybody has any questions for me, if anybody's looking for a job, an internship, something, wants to network, I'm happy to be a mentor, because I'm very fortunate to have gotten to where I am today with the help of a lot of amazing people, and I'm just looking forward to paying that back. So thank you, everybody, and have a great rest of the day.
Awesome. Thanks, Walter, and thank you just for your time, your energy, man. We'll connect. Appreciate you.
Thanks, Walter. Thank you for participating, Walter.
Yep.
See you guys. Thank you so much.
Chris,
thank you too, Emac, for volunteering, bro. That up, man. I do appreciate that.
Chris, I actually do have another obligation today as well, so I do have to hop shortly.
No
so
problem.
You said it will be.
Can I add something real quick to the?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Go ahead.
Uh-oh, there might be a lag.
Oh, me?
Can you hear us, Emac?
Oh. Yeah, I can hear.
All right. There's a little bit of a lag, I think, on your end, but go ahead. You said you wanted to add something, and then I know Dwight wants to add something and then jump off.
Let him go first.
Okay. All right, no, I was just saying it's been a pleasure. Truly enjoyed the panel, the discussion, meeting you all, hearing the stories. Felt like I learned today, which is always a pleasure. Yeah, I definitely, like it's been said several times, Chris, truly honored by what you do and being able to work with your young people, work with you directly. And I hope we all continue to build upon an opportunity like this to be in the same room, talk about the intersection of sports, athletics, art, and following your passion. So much appreciated, and definitely would love to stay in touch with you all as well. I'll try and join throughout the remainder of this weekend also where the opportunities arise.
Awesome, man. Awesome. Thanks, Dwight. Appreciate
all right.
you.
Thank you, guys.
All right. Later. All right. Man, Aurora, you want to kick it off with another question? You know what? Before we do that, so Julius had asked in the comments, and this is a really good question to kind of still tail off on that coachable part. He says, do you ever feel like not being coachable, quote unquote, is used as an excuse to not advance or learn to understand athletes who may not fit into a box? Right? Like, oh, you're not coachable. Well, maybe the person doesn't know how to mentor them the right way, right? And coach them the right way. So how do we handle that conversation, I guess, you know? Because I've seen cases of that where maybe they just need some extra love, but, you know, someone said, no, they're not coachable.
If I could add just from my side, so actually interesting from a dietitian standpoint on that is that the thing is that we work with a lot of looking at your situation and then working around that. So the thing is you also need to be coachable. You need to actually say, okay, but Jason, I'm here for a goal. But a lot of people have set ideas. So for example, they say, you know, Jason, I watched this documentary, you know, the game changes, or these other interesting, or as they call them, shockumentaries. And then they're convinced and they say, Jason, look, I'm only going to do this way, or I believe in the blood group diet or the ketogenic diet because maybe one of my, you know, key stars believes that is, you know, that is the way to go. And the thing is, we need to then work around that. So that in that regard, you know, we might say, okay, but look, the science says otherwise. And not being coachable, should I say, is that you need to work around that. You need to see, you know, is it a logical thing? Is it an emotive thing? And then actually problem solve and work around it and work with it. Look at the things that you can adapt with and improve on and actually use their point to work around. So you do need to look at each individual, you know, as uniquely. So this, even with my practice, there's no one diet fits all. It's literally that you need to look at what works for you, what's practical, what's enjoyable. And you do get some people say, Jason, I refuse to do this, or I'm convinced I'm going to do this. And you need to work around that you can meet in the middle ground. But I feel that if there's absolutely no budging on both sides, it can become a little bit challenging.
Awesome. Yeah. Yeah. You know, looking at the person as a whole, right? We speak this term all the time about equity, right? What does that really mean? And every person needs to be met where they are. And I think it's important that we look at that in schools and the way we educate young adults and the way that, you know, as sports fanatics here on this call, you know, how do we make sure that we do that and teach our teams to do that and the people around us? So holistically, we're all people. Yep.
And Chris, I think young people have to understand that, you know, this business of sports, and you would be able to say 5 or 10 years ago that happened when you got to college, but now AAU is a business. College sports is a business. Pro sports is a business. And if you don't fit in the model of that coach who pays his mortgage, puts money away for his retirement, he has no time to babysit you. No time. You better be the package that you branded yourself to be on Instagram, on Facebook. He doesn't care about your mother. He doesn't care about your father's drug addiction. I'm being honest. He cares about wins and losses, because if he's an AAU coach, he needs to get sponsorship dollars, so he has to produce. College coaches, from day one, you're going to figure out that, hey, they're not loving me like they love me on my recruiting visits. And you can play well on Sunday in the NFL, Do something Sunday night. Do something Sunday night that embarrasses that organization, and you'll find yourself unemployed. This is business. And what I think young people really have to understand is clearly, what am I stepping into? Because the guy that was the absolute best basketball player I've ever played with in my life, and I mean, I've played with Michael Jordan and Magic Johnson. I'm talking about the best. None of you even know his name. Because you know what? He wasn't coachable. And some of it was mental health. Some of it was his upbringing. But he wasn't coachable.
Mm. You heard it. You heard it from the E-Man, you know? I think be coachable, y'all. Be coachable. Be a good listener. And it's not always doing it your way. And your way is going to seem so good. That's why it's important you bring good mentors, good supporters around you that really are there for you, to love you, and trust them when they tell you things. I didn't listen to my parents when I was young, y'all. I didn't listen to them. I wasn't coachable at a young age. I've had to learn how to be coachable. And that's through discipline. It's through learning how to understand people, how to know the world ain't just about you. It's really about everyone else, right? You're just a pea in the pod. So learn how to build those relationships with people, to know that you have that circle that's going to allow you to be coachable in. So awesome. We brought on my man, Dr. Arnell. Man, he did a workshop for our young adults too. Our kids went through 30 workshops this year since April. So they were on it. And you're going to see this is one of their team projects. There's another one after this, another one, and then one on Tuesday and Wednesday. But Dr. Arnell came on and did a workshop. Amazing workshop. The kids loved it. Why don't you tell us a little bit more about yourself and what you do, sir?
Yeah, well, it's a pleasure to be back on here. I thank you for inviting me to be a participant or a panelist on this great program, this great initiative that you have going on. So I'm Dr. Aguinaldo. I'm an associate professor of kinesiology in the Department of Kinesiology and Sports Medicine over at Point Loma Nazarene University. We're located here in San Diego, California. It's a little cold today, in the 60s. So I deal mainly with both undergrad and graduate students who want to move on into athletic training, to sports performance, strength and conditioning, physical therapy. So I interact with a number of different students from across the country who want to get into this field. And I work in an area called biomechanics, sports biomechanics, which is really just the physics of human movement. And in this case, the physics of athletic performance, and trying to figure out ways, biomechanical risk factors of certain injuries, as well as performance on the field, the court, track and field, you name it. So my lab is dedicated to understanding some of the kinematics and kinetics that are involved with different types of maneuvers, and what defines an elite athlete and what defines an amateur athlete, and some of the ways that they can improve. So we use technology, we use research to understand these mechanisms by which these athletes perform out in the field or on the court.
Awesome. And that's one half of the man. Why don't you tell him
Yeah,
about the DJ half?
I was getting ready to say, I gotta tell him because I know.
Go ahead, Emac. Why don't you
How
tell
I know
him?
Dr. Arnell is he's an amazing house music DJ under the name DJ Allah, part of the Mikasa Holiday family. That's how I know him. If he wasn't going to tell on himself, I was telling. Go ahead.
my man. Yeah. I dabbed a little bit. House music, represent San Diego, Chicago. My Mikasa fan with Julius. So I do that. That's another passion of mine. So my passion is both in the sports science side as well as in house music and music in general. And I try to find ways to kind of merge the two, that my two hats together. And, sometimes students, I'll end my lecture with a Mixcloud link or something. So I can go on there. You give me a couple likes here and there, but yeah, I'm still doing it. Still trying to keep up with guys like Immaculate and Julius.
Awesome. That's awesome, man. Thank you again for joining us, for sure.
It's a pleasure.
Chuck, you wanna kick it off with another question?
Definitely. And I want to pick up where Mr. Eric Davis left off. He mentioned mental health. What role does mental health play in an athlete's ability to be successful in sports as well as life? I want to jump in with Mr. Davis and then Dr. Wendy, if possible.
I think when you talk about mental health, I don't think there's a difference between life and sports.
Right.
It's the same thing. I think, I have kids that are from a very tough neighborhood in Chicago, West Garfield Park, where clearly they suffer from post-traumatic stress disorder, where everyone looks like them, where the crime rate, especially violent crime, is high. Could I take a kid and say, okay, tomorrow I'm going to put you on the campus of UCLA and expect no issues? It'd be very hard for me to expect this young man not to have, or young woman, not to have some difficulties, because the world that they've been living in is different than the world they're going to. And I think that when we're talking about mental health, I think we all have some mental health issues, especially now during the pandemic. But I think now it's not a stigma to talk about it and to mention it. And in particularly in the Black and brown communities, where I don't think that we are really against mental health. It's just that we don't have any extra money to go get help. So we fix it ourselves best we can. And that's usually trying to get it fixed with someone else that has mental health issues. So I think when we talk about mental health, I think we all need someone to talk to, a mentor, a professional, someone where you can express yourself and let things go, just so you can sort things out, especially in these times when so much information comes at us from so many different directions. And then the information you get when you literally walk on the street. So again, I think there's no difference in taking care of your mental health as a person living life or an athlete. It's one and the same.
Agreed. Absolutely. And I think that when I think of mental health, I think of it's a continuum. As you eloquently say, we all got problems. We all got issues. Everybody does. We all got things that we need to work better on, things that we need to actually to address, although we try to pretend like it's not there. We all have it. So there's that continuum of where you're going to fall on a given day and what's going on in your life, whether you're going to work on it or not or hide behind it. But we all got problems. So I think it's that for me, it's the first recognition that the mental health that we think about, I like to think about mental wellness, right? So that's part of the continuum. It's all the different things that come into play for mental health. It's the spiritual, it's the financial, the social, the education, the professional. I'm missing a couple, there are two more, but all of those come into play in the wheelhouse of mental wellness. And so, not saying that you need to have all of those together in order to be mentally well. What I like to think about it is that you recognize that you have all of these pieces of you, and that given a given day that they could come and take part in how you want to achieve it or accomplish a singular task. But also know that if your physical health isn't well, then it can affect your professional wellness. It can affect your personal wellness, your social. If your social is down, it can also affect the spiritual, the professional, all of those things. It all comes into play. And so they don't have to be, perfect, but know that all of those aspects of your life make up the whole continuum of mental wellness. And all of those things are definitely important as you continue to try to strive and be a better person. And I think the fact that we continue to have these conversations, because it was thought of as if you talked about mental health, that there was a problem. And again, everybody has problems. Everybody has issues. Every single person. And so being able to talk about it, just like we talk about what you eat and that you need to sleep, as Jason was saying, right? The 3 things that Jason was talking about, we talk about that freely. If you're able to talk about mental health as one of those things as part of that same, dyad of what you need to do, I think it becomes more salient in that this is something that we will be able to push into the spectrum of it's okay. It's okay to talk about that this is what's going on with you. And then you're able to find those people. You don't have to go to a mental health professional. As Eric was saying, if there's someone that is an adult that or that you can talk to or trust, it's your coach, it's your pastor, it's your Sunday school teacher, it's your English teacher, whoever that is, it's your best friend's mom, have those conversations, be able to talk to them, be able to share that, because when you're able to talk about it, it puts it out there, because you can justify anything in your head. We can justify anything, any crazy in your head. But when you start to say it out loud and someone else starts to listen to it and you guys have the dialogue, then you start to think, oh, well, maybe I should do this. Maybe I should go in this direction, or there's all these things I could do. So definitely being able to have the conversation with anybody that you trust. So I definitely suggest that if there's someone that you can have those conversations with, and don't think you got to start out big. You don't have to go to your coach and go, I've been depressed for 5 weeks, or I've been you don't have to, you could just go to your coach and be like, last week was hard. I failed this test and this was hard. Or so-and-so didn't talk to me and this was hard. Start slow and build up that trust. And then you can start having those more, those bigger conversations. But know, and I've said it like 8 times, I'm gonna say it probably 8 more times, but know that mental health, or that, should I say that everybody has issues. We all have problems. There's not a single person on this earth that doesn't have a problem, that doesn't have an issue, that is not struggling, that is not working to be better, that is not saying, I got to work on this today, or I got to, my wife has asked me to do this, or my best friends want me to do this, my job wants me to do this, I can't do this. Every single person is struggling with something. So no, you are not by yourself. Every single person is struggling.
Chris, can I add something to that?
Absolutely.
I from the perspective, and just building off what you guys all said, from the perspective of somebody that is not has never been a professional athlete or collegiate athlete, that is to their 40s, and relating to the question about celebrating, how do you celebrate responsibly and get back to your discipline, and what Dr. Wendy touched on with that. I think that's so key as it relates to everyday life. When speaking to you guys on the panel that are younger, and any of the young people that might be listening, when you get into your 40s and you get into your early 50s, it becomes so important to learn how to discipline yourself, to get physical activity, to you celebrate on the weekends. You might go out, you may drink or whatever it may be. Us that are we're in the club business, we late nights and partying and stuff like that. So how do you do that and then be able to turn back Monday or whatever it is and get back onto your discipline and have some sort of physical regimen, have some sort of diet regimen, some sort of nutrition regimen, because it becomes very, very, very critical if you want to survive. It's that real. If you want it, there's so many more people in their 40s and 50s that are getting heart disease, having strokes, having aneurysms, having heart attacks, that are dying. If you want to talk about COVID, it's a loaded conversation, but the majority of people that go out because of COVID are obese. And it just becomes so critical that it doesn't matter if you're an athlete or not, like having some sort of physical activity. And we all struggle with wanting to eat pleasure food, or, not working out, these things. You take it for granted when you're in your 20s and your 30s, but when you get in your 40s, it really literally becomes, do you want to stay here or not? You know what I mean? And I just think that that's just important to, get ahead of the game on it and learn how to discipline yourself, learn how to overcome whether they be addictions or desires or laziness, whatever it is. You have to learn how to discipline yourself in that way so that you can maintain your physical health for your survival into your 50s, 60s, hopefully 70s, 80s, 90s. That's it.
I have a follow-up question I wanted to bring Jason in to kind of build on the correlation between diet, mental health, and an athlete's success and how those things kind of intertwine? Jason.
Oh, I'm so glad you asked, because it is such a beautiful topic. Because as a dietitian, I work a lot with eating disorders. So we're going to use an extreme, but let's say, for example, binge eating disorder and anorexia, bulimia, those type of things. I mean, mental health plays a massive role, and we need to. And it's not good enough to say, but let's stop doing that. You need to actually understand the core part of it. So that's why I think that mental health comes into it. But guys, 80 to 90% of the serotonin we make, which is what we normally correlate to, our happy hormone, our general happy hormone, we make 90% of it in the gut, not actually in the brain. So now there's a massive link between, now let's say, for example, gut dysbiosis, so now your gut isn't working so great, and depression. And as well, managing your serotonin. And as well, what about emotional eating? That works a lot on your dopamine system. So I think someone mentioned just now about emotional eating and all that. The thing is that there's a reason why you go for cookies and chocolate and ice cream and, all those aspects. And the thing is we need to realize what we're working with. And that's why as a dietitian, we normally work with a psychologist as well, or someone close that you can work with, because it's normally a mental thing, but nutrition plays a massive role. So, but you might be saying, someone might be asking, okay, Jason, it sounds good, but how do we actually go about that? And just so you guys know, I'm sure a lot of you have heard about probiotics, but maybe not a lot of you have heard about prebiotics. So just very quickly, because this is basically the summary on if you're trying to, how this can affect your gut health, is probiotics is that you can find that in yogurt, live cultures, sometimes after taking antibiotics, you might take some probiotics, but prebiotics is essentially the food for the probiotics in your gut. So that is going to be just your fiber. So your fruits, your vegetables, your whole grains, those type of things. And that is going to be what's actually feeding the gut. That's actually what's going to help in the probiotics. And then as well, we can look at, even things like if you've got irritable bowel syndrome, if you're having too much protein shake, and that then affects, then you feel uncomfortable, feel bloated, you feel lethargic, overeating, undereating for certain events, that affects your mental health drastically. So I've seen so many people come in overeating, undereating, and then so the guts are a big mess. But once we start looking at that routine and environment, and I actually wanted to jump on what Immaculate said just now about, let's say, when you're going to your 40s, 50s. Well, I do agree, we do need to get our, get things in check. We need to say, look, it's harder to get time for exercise. But really, from a dietitian standpoint, what we see works the best is going to see what is your routine with diet and exercise, and what is your environment. So, for example, if in your room you've got cookies, you're probably going to go for those cookies. Even myself being a dietitian, if my wife bought me now some chocolates, I'm probably going to snack on it, even during this talk. But the thing is, if I now have apples with me, if I then go to the gym and I have healthy food with me, if I go to work and I don't pack a lunch, it's difficult to actually, should I say, get that nutrition in. So the thing is, we really need to look at your, your overall situation, because nutrition plays such a role as well. And I see that there's a chat comment that came up. I just want to just quickly check if that is for me. Other side of the spectrum, God conflict. Yes. I think that might be a question for someone else to answer with regards to the narcissism part. But then the thing is that with regards to nutrition plays a massive role in our well-being. And as well, if your blood sugar is high, if your blood sugar is dropping, if your blood pressure is going, you're not managing your medical conditions, it can play a massive role as well. So I really have a massive passion for it. I think I could talk about it for an hour. So unless there's a specific follow-up question you have on that, but just to say is that sports nutrition and mental health go hand in hand.
Love it. Love it.
Looks like we have a question in the chat.
Yeah. So, I'll say it again, and for athletes, sometimes it's not depression, sometimes it's the other end of the spectrum, the God complex or narcissism. Is that equally as important to work with for athletes? Thinking that you got to be the best, you're the greatest. How do you deal with that, I guess, as we're trying to teach these athletes to balance life?
That I don't even know if that's even a easy question to answer, because I see several different pieces to that. I don't see it as one flow. So I mean, like if it being a narcissist is very different than someone that you need to be given equality to because they're having, the whole is the equality important to work with all athletes. I think that it's two separate things. A narcissist is a very, it's a whole nother level of so maybe it's not the terminology that they were using what they want, but when in the clinical world we hear narcissism, that's just not so. They're not really going to be in the spectrum to be saying that they're going to someone need to work with, because they would already have alienated everybody before they even get to working with the team, because they need to be that person. So they would already have alienated all of those things to come into play. So if it's someone that they think that maybe it's that they think that they're the best. I think Eric was talking about when we went to University of Houston, and he was going to be was going to average 34 points instead of 33 points. So it was that piece. Maybe it's someone like that. That wants to do and be more because they think they're really great, and they get into the situation where they find that they're no longer the the big fish. Now they're the small fish in the big pond. So now they're going to have to figure that piece out. And so that, I think, for me, that comes to back to the point that Eric was saying, is that they have to realize, and they will start to learn pretty quickly, that when you get into this get into these ranks, whether it's AAU, or it starts the AAU and then goes to the college, you will need to conform. You will need to be able to put down some things, because you will not be able to continue to play in that space with that coach. And even if you are the best player throughout AAU, you get recruited and go to the #1 team in the country, and then you're the #1 draft pick in the NBA. I'm guarantee you, when you get to the NBA, you're gonna learn. As the saying goes, they say this during the NBA rookie transition camp. They say LeBron James cannot wait for you to come to the NBA. That's one of the lines, because you're gonna learn that you're gonna have to put yourself in a space where you can learn from other people, where you can hear from the coaches. And so I think that it's a separate thing, but I think that it's in the process of where you want to go and how you want to get there. There's gonna be that fork in the road where you're gonna have to decide: is this going to be about me, or is this going to be about the team? And when it becomes about you, things does start to go in different directions. When it starts to be about the team, you see the difference in that as well. And I think the equality in that and working with everybody is that coach. Most coaches that I know of, they take on the framework of Coach K, which, let me say, as a side note, I'm a North Carolina fan, so the fact that I even quote Coach K should tell you that it's a really important quote. But he says, the best way to treat everybody the same is to treat them differently. So each coach is going to coach you on you. And that's the way and most coaches that I know, that's the way they're going to look at it. They're going to coach you on you, what you individually bring to help the team be better.
Awesome.
And I agree with Dr. Wendy. And narcissism is one thing, but I think supreme confidence is important for an athlete. It is a survival mechanism. I mean, we go to our jobs every day, and you don't have to read in the newspaper that you're terrible, and your wife doesn't have to read that you're terrible and that you're a bum. That when you go to the grocery store, people feel that they can come up and coach you and give you their opinions. And that's what it's like to be a pro athlete. You buy into all of that they sit on ESPN and there are people making money critiquing me who've never scored a touchdown, and you know what? You try to say, I just let that run down my back. But does it run down the back of your children, of your mother, of your father? Those things are pretty tough to hear day to day. Even though you make a lot of money, nobody likes to be kicked. And for you to survive in that world, you really have to believe that you're that warrior, that you're that gladiator that's going to survive. But another thing that Dr. Wendy didn't touch on, there's not an athlete that I don't know. And I mean, I'm talking about Michael Jordan and James Worthy and Hakeem Olajuwon, who aren't going to face depression when this thing is over. And no matter who you are as an athlete, everyone gets cut. Some people, when they get cut, they make it a little fancier. We're going to have a retirement tour from you, and every city's going to salute you. It looks nicer, but really what the team is telling you said, we don't want you back next year. So we all have our date. That's our expiration date. And then the question is, who am I? Who am I? And sometimes I think you're much more fortunate when you don't get a scholarship to high school, from high school to college, because you have more time to find out who your B, C, and D plans are, and really to address them. That, really, I love art more than I love athletics. I love sports and I loved art, but now I really love art. And I still have a lot of friends who have drinking and drug problems because they didn't make the NBA or the NFL. They didn't stay long enough. And that all goes back to what happened in their depression and their mental health, and then what wasn't done, and then what they did continually after not getting the right help or seeking help.
Amazing perspective, man. Thank you for that perspective, for sure. So we have a little bit time for a couple more questions. I know Aurora has a couple that she's waiting to ask. We do want to end right at 11:55, because then we have another one for you all to jump into that will be cooking recipe exchange, and then we have a fashion of art at 2:00. So feel free, please share those out with your networks. Share this one out with your network, and go into the app and vote for these young adults. Aurora is one of these young adults that has worked all this year to really start to figure out and define what she's passionate about, right? And our organization, Your Passion First, is focused on helping these young adults find, define, and follow their passion into the workforce. And you'll see 17 pitches of young adults that have pitched their story, their product, their narrative, and you have an opportunity to show them love, show them some support, and bring that winner home, right? And so we'll be having the finals Wednesday, but you have up until Sunday night, tomorrow night, to vote in the app. Is Meet App Go. Again, Meet App Go. And the access code is MiCasa, all lowercase. If y'all are not familiar with MiCasa Holidays is a premier travel and music community. They do music and events around the world. Julius the Mad Thinker Spates is one of the dopest DJs in the world, let alone in Chicago, and is the founder. And so definitely check them out if you get an opportunity to. I will be at all of their events out of this country. I just went to my first one in Mexico, and it was amazing. Dance, music, good stuff. So definitely check them out. They're doing amazing things and bringing people from around the world together to connect, bringing commonalities together, because that's what it's all about, right? That's what that equity is looking at every person for who they are and accepting them for just that. So I'm going to turn it over to Aurora. Aurora, I know you got a couple questions. Let's get it.
Yeah, I have very short questions. The first one is, do you guys have a secret talent, and how does your training program look like? I'll go with Dr. Arnell first.
I'm sorry, can you repeat that? What kind of talent?
What is your secret talent?
Secret talent. Well, it's not so secret. Immaculate said that, I'm a DJ on the side. Gosh, I don't know if I have a secret talent per se. I mean, I definitely have my passions, and my passions is, the science of sports, and of course, DJing. But and I chose those paths accordingly because I followed my passion in that. I don't know if I have any secret talent. I mean, I play chess. I'm good at chess. I keep that as a secret in classes. But yeah, I mean, I'm a big of a nerd, when it comes to, a lot of the stuff we do in the lab. And then I try to find ways to improve, especially with the, the evolution of technology the last few years. It's hard to keep up. I'm in my 40s, and, some of the students are coming in, or, hey, Dr. A, check out this app or check out this new, camera that's out there, and it's trying to keep up with that. And I have to keep up with these kids. I learned how to code in college on Fortran, and half these kids don't know what Fortran is. Now they're on, Python and R. And if they want to get into the industry, they got to know how to code a certain way. So I got to keep up with them too. So the technology is moving so fast that I guess one secret talent is try to make sure you keep up with all that and try to learn the technology and make it useful so we can apply it to our goals of improving athletic performance and mitigating injury risks and just trying to integrate everything so that we can improve our athletes on a daily routine.
Awesome.
And the second question was, what does your training program look like?
The training regimen? Well, fortunately, I work with students who are, they're trainers themselves. So a number of them get either their certified athletic training, their certification, as well as their strength and conditioning, what we call CSCS. So we go into the gym together. Some of them are CrossFit trainers and whatnot. So 4 times a week, I try to get my 150 minutes of moderate to vigorous physical activity. And I asked them, you train me. Yes, I'm, in the classroom, in the lab, I'm their professor, but in the gym, they're my teacher. They're training me. I'd say, okay, put me on a regimen, because there's so much information out there that there's enough information that we can design and implement a good physical activity and nutrition regimen. But at the end of the day, it's all about accountability. If I know that B on my trainer says you need to show up on Monday at 4:00 and we're going to do 1 hour of HIIT, I'm going to show up because it's accountability. Whereas I'm on my app and I put a reminder, I may not be as motivated, right? Because I'm only accountable to myself. So working with a friend or working with students in this case who are trainers, who are nutritionists, and be able to follow this, it's all about accountability at the end of the day. And then we can choose a specific regimen that suits my schedule, my needs. I'm not an athlete playing on a team, so my needs are different. I'm just trying to keep up and making sure that I got my physical activity in for the week, as well as a good healthy diet, as well as sleep. That's another thing too. That's as part of the integrated wellness. Make sure you get enough sleep. So yeah, I try to make sure to maintain and keep up, my physical activity, my moderate to vigorous intensity activity, and go hang and basically try to keep up with these kids.
Awesome.
Jason, I'm going to pick on you.
So my special talent, I actually got an award for this in high school. It was called the Ulrich Rissig Award, and it is literally the award for being super average. So it was in okay, well, slightly above average, because I wasn't a prefect, I was a house prefect. I didn't make first team, I made the team below it. I did drama, I was in the second thing. So the thing is, my talent, and I'm going to own it. I am average or above average in everything. I feel that my passion for dietetics is something else, but that is my passion. I'm going to own it, and I'm going to just say that's me.
Awesome.
And how does your training regime look like?
Oh my goodness. Well, it's, being very average, it's got a very intense training regime, I must say. But just to say is that, look, it really is about balance. It is so about, getting because being married, having my own business, employing other dietitians, my church life, my friend's life. It's all about the wheel of life, right? And that, I think, talking about mental health as well, is that I like to look at mental health or just our health in general as a wheel. And the thing is, you've got 8 wheels or 8 spokes in the wheel. And then it's going to be your, financial health, mental health, physical health, dietary health, all those type of health. And as soon as one of those things go out, the wheel's not going to, sort of say, roll so nicely for you. So my big philosophy of life is, yes, I'm not trying to be, I'd love to play for the Springboks one day, but I think maybe I'll be their dietitian for that. But I think that is my regime. Just try and make it work. But guys, again, I've said this for the 3rd time, but it's got to be your routine and accountability. if I don't have someone to go to the gym with that I'm going to meet with, it's easy to have an excuse. If you've got amazing colleagues that you work with, it's easy to get those routines in. So, I mean, the training regime with life and all that, it's about accountability, as the doctor said. So that is my training regime for being extremely average.
Okay, cool. And I'll pick on one last person. Eric Davis, because you said you're 60. I'm very curious. What is your secret talent and what does your training regime look like?
I think my secret talent, a lot of people always want to talk to me about my athletic past. And I like to mention that I was actually a summa cum laude graduate. And many people skip right over that and get back to tell me about this game. And they don't want to hear about that. And I don't have any athletic change on the table. There's nothing that I felt that I'd missed. But what does keep me up at night is that I really wish I would have attended Stanford and became a pediatrician. That's something that I think I missed. That keeps me up still to this day. And I tell my kids, with not trying to force them to go do it, but just putting it on their mind. So now I have a grandson. So I let him know all the time, Grandpa should have been a pediatrician. So maybe he'll pick that up. And what does my workout regimen look like? Well, we have at the base, we have a program where we have 362 children, and they're ages 8 to 18. And many of them think they're going to be professional basketball players, football players, baseball players, and that's great. When they come into our building, what we make them do from September to May is they have to be tutored. They have to take SAT and ACT prep. They have to do a selective enrollment prep test to get into the better high schools. And we just do math and reading and science tutoring to help improve them as students. And then what we do in the summertime is, whether they're in dance, girls softball, basketball, or baseball, we take our kids all across the country. And we take them all across the country because many of my kids do not really even live on the west side. They live about 4 blocks squared because of all of the negative activities that occur on the west side of Chicago. And when we get them out of town, last year we went to Boston, we went to New York, we went to North Carolina and Florida. When they come back to Chicago, they're different people. Because what we do on these trips is we do a community service project. They compete, but wherever we go on college visits as well. And you could literally look over our children's head and see that the world is opening up, that they're seeing possibilities. So we try to work on everything: their mental health when we have our training sessions, what they eat, even though they love donuts and flaming hot and any juice that looks blue. So we work on that, talking about the importance of at least sometimes having some water, and our workout regimen really is a life regimen because also, we've had the unfortunate circumstance of losing some of our young kids to violence. And that's a reality in West Garfield Park. So for us, our regimen really is life and death. Our regimen isn't to survive West Garfield Park. Our regiment ultimately is, we want you not to survive, we want you to thrive. We want you to go out and be a bright, shining light and then come back to Garfield Park because there are others that need to see you there. So that's the regiment that we work on here in Chicago on the west side.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Eric, for all the work that you are doing, that I know that you will continue to do. And you are a pediatrician. That's just not the terminology we use for you. You are taking care of those kids, man. So keep taking care of them, man. You found your pathway to doing that. Appreciate that. All right, we got time. I know Chuck got one more question, y'all, and we're probably only going to get a chance for maybe 1 to 2 people to answer it. So go ahead, Chuck.
Yeah, I just wanted to conclude with this particular question because I think it's important for young people particularly to understand that, we have a panel here of various levels of success. We have doctors here. We have former collegiate and pro athletes. We have, guys who are accomplishing things in music and dietitians and all sorts of stuff. But one of the things I think is important for young people to know is that none of us achieve the levels of success that we've had alone. There's been others who have helped us along the way. So my question is, what or who was the most important factor that helped you achieve and become the person you are today? And we'll start with you, Jason.
So I think for myself, look, I have to just very quickly have to credit my parents. They've been very, very supportive in my dream, because I think being a dietitian, very interesting, is that basically in the whole degree, I was the only guy. So it was quite interesting. But I mean, I just had that passion for it. It was very awesome. I think especially coming all boys school, that was quite interesting. But look, the thing is, I must say, look, all glory to God. He's really been, it's not me, it's him. It's been he work with me. But then as well, look, I just think supportive in people that have not been selfish. The thing is that me getting to my practice, people helping me set up, it's really been people to say, Jason, I'm not getting any benefit from this, but I want to see you succeed. So just to be dietitian mentors, and as well my parents, my friends, but ultimately all glory to God. So yeah, that is my answer.
Dr. Arnell?
I think first and foremost for me is my faith in Jesus. I mean, that definitely carved the journey that I'm on, and I believe I belong where He wanted me to in the first place. Obviously, my parents. They paid for half my college, so for both undergrad and graduate school. So definitely, my parents were very influential in my path. I had a couple of professors in grad school who were great mentors of mine, and shared their experiences, both as well as their challenges that they've gone through, and really carved the way for me to on this certain path. I mean, in undergrad, I've never even heard of biomechanics and sports science. I didn't even really think that was a thing. I mean, I was big on baseball. I tried out for the baseball team and got cut the next week. So, I had to try to find a different path in that regard. A family, community, and even to this day, I mean, that's very important to have that infrastructure to support you. And I think as young kids, you find your passion. You've got your friends, you've got your professors, your coaches. Lean on them. They're at the end of the day, that's ultimately who you become is because of them kind of carving out and paving the road for you. I think that for many of us on the panel could probably share similar experiences of their mentors and community even to this day. So just try to keep up communication in terms of your social network and your professional networks, because that's going to benefit you in the long run.
Awesome. We probably got time for one more person to finish up. Anybody else?
Immaculate.
I'll add. First, I same parents. My parents first and foremost, because my dad has always been a musician. My mother, who has passed away 9 years ago, was a professional abstract artist. I always had the encouragement and from home that having a career in the arts was practical and realistic, where a lot of people have been discouraged for that. So I've been appreciative for that. And then I've had other people that have helped me. Julius is one of them that's always believed in me since high school, that's encouraged me, always supported me. In recent years, I've had some great mentors that are older than me, like Terry Hunter, Wayne Williams, Alan King, Mike Dunn. These guys have really embraced me and helped me and offered their platform that's larger than mine to expose my music to a broader audience. And then I wanted to add on the physical side, just to relate again to the average person that struggles with being overweight. I discovered that I had high blood pressure a few years ago, and it's genetic in my family. So I just finally this year after COVID picked up some pounds, you know what I'm saying? A great friend of mine from high school that played college football, that's 47, that looks like the Incredible Hulk right now, and he's a vegan on top of it. I finally just reached out to him and said, hey, bro, I need some help. You know, I'm not disciplining myself. I need some help. I need, as Arnell said, somebody to be accountable to. So I hired him as my personal trainer, and you know, we do Zooms. He's in Connecticut. He moved up there because he was working for UConn for a minute, and we do Zoom sessions twice a week. And then on the other days, he gives me my regimen of what exercise to do and a diet plan. And I've knocked off almost 25 pounds in the last 3-4 months. Gotten into much better shape. I feel my muscle tone back. I have more energy. You know what I mean? So it just relating to the average person, it's okay to be like, man, I need some help. My discipline is bad right now. You know, ask somebody for help, but you have to be willing to make the commitment and allow yourself to be accountable and do the work, you know. So, and you know, again, it becomes critical when you're dealing with high blood pressure or anything like that. When you get older, like, got to do it. So that's it.
Love it, man. Listen, y'all, it has been a blessing. It has just been an honor to have this amazing group of folks. Aurora, thank you for just keep pushing on, keep doing what you're doing. Go in and vote for her, y'all, in the app. Doing great work. Great work. Chuck, my man, thank you for helping me with this panel, brother, and just being my wing to have that little air of confidence, bro. You've been doing this a while, so I'm just learning from you, man. And that is what I lean on. I lean on people like y'all and community. And that's the most important thing I would say to you young adults out there. It's not just about networking. It's about building relationships and being there for people, right? You be there for them. They'll be there for you. Each and every one of y'all know that y'all can call on me any day. And y'all know if I could drop everything, I will. That moment to help. I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. It's been amazing. Go in that app, and we have other things. So when y'all leave, please go share this. Go share the other things on our page that are coming up today that I think is beneficial for other young adults. And you're going to see other amazing work by our young adults for their team projects. And I also put our donation link. We're preparing for our gala. So if anyone can donate, that link is in the chat. We appreciate you. And as I always like to say, y'all, in order to achieve your dreams, you got to follow your passion first. I love y'all. See y'all soon.
Can I hop off?